This has Texans fans seriously concerned, as there's been a lot of remarks all offseason about the offensive line. Can it play up the standard? What's going to happen? And this time we have an article talking about a new player on the offensive line. Is he going to be playing up the standard? And he's a potential bust candidate. I can't say I disagree. It's really a matter of time to when the rookie Ariante Ursary will take over. So if you guys are new to Texans Digest, do me a favor, hit that sub button. We've been growing, doing a lot, but this is a new one. Cam Robinson labeled as a massive bust candidate, the new left tackle taking over for Laremy Tunsil. And I think it's a big ask considering the fact that a lot of Texans analysts and people just saying a lot of things about the offensive line, the reality is Cam Robinson's not going to be Laremy Tunsil. He's not. And we have to stop getting that out of our heads that we need to replace Tunsil. Tunsil was traded mainly because you look at the fact that he had a big contract coming up. He was 31 years old. Again, you're going to have to pay him in a couple of years. He's getting older. He wasn't a great player last year. He was a liability in the penalty column. So I think the bigger picture here is people looking at Tunsil being traded and Cam Robinson stepping up and playing as dominant as Tunsil did. Because as good as Tunsil was, he didn't allow sacks. That was the biggest thing with Tunsil. And when you look at Cam Robinson's stats and the PFF grades, I don't even want to look at the grades. I just want to look at the 13 penalties and the 7 sacks that he allowed last season. That is not an improvement. We can understand that Robinson is definitely a downgrade from Tunsil. 7 sacks allowed. Not good. He's supposed to be a better pass blocker than he is a run blocker. But the 7 sacks, Tunsil only allowed 2. And this is the part where it's going to get even more annoying. Robinson is a holding merchant. But again, that is why the Texans drafted Ursary out of Minnesota in the second round right after taking their wide receiver. So it's a matter of when does Ursary step up and step in, because he was graded very highly. I do think he can be a great blindside tackle for years to come. But the last thing I want is the Texans to force him into the starting rotation, because the same thing happened to Blake Fisher last year where he was supposed to step up and kind of didn't play up, not up the standard, but Fisher kind of had to find his place in the NFL a little bit. You want to have Ursary sit behind Robinson, learn as much as he can, and then maybe by week 5, mid-season mark, he can come in and we can absolutely deal as an offense. I mean, this is the thing. When you look at this team, there's a lot to look at. Stroud, Mixon, Nico Collins, 3 new targets. I mean, Kirk, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. I mean, there is so many new players. Justin Watson might step up, but that's the thing. The offensive line is the biggest question mark. And Cam Robinson, I do not believe he stays on that position to start all season long. It's really a matter of time for me until he is not going to be playing. And now we'll go back to the labeled as a massive bust candidate. You can't really be a massive bust candidate if you're supposed to be a veteran on a 1-year contract, a prove it kind of year. He wasn't anything crazy on Minnesota. Kind of got that trade over midseason with Jacksonville. But again, even on Jacksonville, he wasn't anything crazy. He was solid. He was okay. He was never really a double digit, like for the money that he got, like 20 a year when he was playing with Jacksonville. I don't ever believe that it was anything crazy, because when we played Jacksonville twice a year, very easily to get around was Cam Robinson. But that was not the reason the Texans signed him. They signed him mainly to be a mentor, to be a veteran, to fill the void until the right player comes along. And Ursary was the right player to come along. They drafted him. Now he's going to step up and hopefully step in at the right time. We look at Ursary, again, run blocking, his size, his power. Realistically, at Minnesota, he was a very sound tackle. There was not many flaws in his game. He was a little caught off guard by certain times, but you cannot leave Cam Robinson in all season. And we know this. So the fact that we're calling him a massive bust candidate and mainly expecting him to be Tunsil, like that's not what that's not what Nick Caserio was trying to do. He was basically just trying to get younger. So it really is crazy to me. I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because really, you're looking at Robinson. It's like you're looking at one player, and how is he going to play? I really don't believe he plays the whole season. And looking at this offensive line, I would say outside of unknown and Blake Fisher starting at right tackle, Cam Robinson's the second weakest link on this offensive line, and Ursary would probably be in sooner rather than later. So I don't know what to expect with Blake Fisher on the right side. I would be a little less concerned with the right tackle position than the left, because left tackle is very important, right? You have your blind side. You don't want CJ Stroud to get hit, lose the football. That's one of the more important sides. And to go through my graphics here, Cam Robinson last season, 21 pressures and 2 sacks in the last 2 games. Let's just say right now, it's not good. But the fact that he's had 21 pressures and hasn't allowed more than 2 sacks is pretty remarkable. But still, the 21 pressures is not good. You know, if Stroud has to slide up in the pocket and move, I mean, I'm not saying every snap, but 21 pressures in 2 games, I mean, that's not something to be good looking forward to in terms of what are we expecting from Cam Robinson, right? So, Robinson, could he be a valuable pass protector? This is on the audience right now, because I do not know what to make of Cam Robinson. I understand the signing, but I mean, you have had other players sitting on the free agent market that you could have went and got. So that's kind of where I question, like, okay, was Cam Robinson really the best player to go get, especially for 1 year, $12 million? I don't think the contract really means anything. I guess that's kind of just the headline, but it's mainly like, I don't think Cam Robinson's going to be a main part of this team come week 12, week 13, week 14, heading into the playoffs, because I do believe the Texans make the playoffs unless something substantial happens. But CJ Stroud needs to have an offensive line he can rely on, and I think this year is going to be better because you look at years past, especially last year, where it was one of the biggest problems. Couldn't stack. You couldn't. It was not a time where the offensive line couldn't help let up a sack. I mean, Shaq Mason, Kenyon Green, Laremy Tunsil, 3 major factors. Tunsil was just a penalty, game-killing drives, and we're not saying that Robinson's not going to do that, but that's the thing you're looking at, is you don't want drive killers. Disciplined offensive line, no penalties, hold your weight. You don't have to be perfect, but give Stroud 4 or 5 seconds to get the ball out of his hands. And I think with a better receiving core, it'll definitely look better than last year, because you look at the guys that he's throwing to now in Nico Collins, Christian Kirk, Tank Dell. Well, not Tank Dell anymore, unfortunate, but Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel, Justin Watson, Braxton Berrios. Hopefully new additions. You're looking at this team, and it's more of, okay, Stroud's got more weapons, so he's going to have more time with the offensive line. That's the way I look at it, because last year there was a big problem with injuries. Diggs got hurt. Collins was out. There was a time period where Tank Dell had to step up and be the number 1 wide receiver for a short time. I believe Collins came back the next week or whatnot, but that's not good. When you only have Nico Collins and then your second receiver is you look at John Mechie and then Xavier Hutchinson, Justin Watson, I don't know why I was thinking of that. But that was the biggest problem the last year. The injuries at wide receiver did not help CJ Stroud. And then the offensive line fell apart as it was. But now, slightly improved offensive line because you got rid of a few problems. More wide receivers to throw the football to. Really, it's a recipe for success. And I think Nick Caserio is doing the right thing. A lot of people are trashing on the Texans offseason in terms of all these analysts and stuff. But let me know what you guys think. I think Cam Robinson's that guy where he can be very solid, but it's just a matter of time for me until Ursary takes over. So let me know your thoughts. It's been Mike Zanetti, quick Texans Digest video for you. Let me know your thoughts. Stay updated on the offseason. It's been kind of a dead offseason, we'll be quite honest. But football's here, about a month away. I'm excited. Let me know your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next video. It's been Mike Zanetti, Texans Digest.